Kalkadosh Boker Or Masechet Menahot Daf Yomi Daf Kafei Amud Aleph 25a1 says the Mishnah. Yeah, Baruch Shepatrani. Nitma akomets. Yeah, he comes and he says if the komets became tameh. Yeah, what does that mean? And therefore it became pasul from bringing it. Vikrivo. Yeah, and he brings it. What does that mean? The komets, remember, you come, you take the komets, and this komets became tameh. And now what happened was the Kohen still brings it on the Mizbeach. Hatzitz. Which one? The Kohen said it's tameh. No. The Kohen is not tameh. The komets became tameh. The komets became tameh, and still he came and he brought it. So says the Gemara, the Mishnah, hatzitz minatzeh. The tzitz is going to atone for it, which means that it's going to make it kosher, that it's going to be fine. Yatsa. What happens if the komets went outside of the azara, and that's how it became pasul? Vikrivo, and now he brought it. And a tzitz minatzeh. The tzitz is not going to be. Why? Because the tzitz minatzeh only on the tameh, and not ala yotzeh. Meaning, the tzitz on the Kohen Gadol was very special. It had a very special power that even though something was done not properly, it would still atone and it would kosher it. But that's only certain aspects. What is that? Only to do with tumah, not to do with yitziyah. Tumah, letamot. So therefore, if it was tameh and the Kohen still brought it, so then it's fine. But if it's going to do with yitziyah, which means that ta'otzeta et zeh, so then that's not going to be okay. Capish? Yeah, הוצאת את הקומץ מחוץ העזרה. הציץ עליו כל הזמן. No, the guy just took it out. No, he was a crazy Kohen. These Kohanim, they come late, they do this, they do that. He's a crazy Kohen, what do you want?
No, but why would they do that?
He left his phone outside.
Exactly, and he goes out and he went... Yeah? No, but you know, I've seen it. People come late, right? They're supposed to be doing tefillah. Then a friend comes to them. They start talking, whatever it is. And you're like, what? You're in the middle of tefillah. You have to be shiur, tefillah. You're talking. You understand? Like, things happen all the time. You understand? Like, I can't answer up the Kohanim all the time. But anyway, that's what it is. Says the Gemara. Yeah? None. Tanu Rabbanan. Yeah, we learned in a Braita. V'nasa Aharon et avon et hakodashim. Right? So comes Aharon and he's carrying the burden of the sin. Avon hakodashim. What does that mean? Eze avon hu noseh. Which avon is he noseh? If you're going to tell me it's pigul, it says already lo yechashev. What does it mean lo yechashev? It's pasul. It's lo mechaper. Im tomar lenotar. So maybe it's notar. Everyone remembers what pigul is. Yeah, the guy came and he thought of the wrong time. Bediuk, right? Or notar. Maze notar? Leftovers. So he says kvar ne'emar lo yeratzeh. So what is it? Hayenu noseh levon tumah. It has to be tumah. Sheutra miklala betzibur. The entire concept of tumah, we only find by this that it's hutra betzibur. And since tumah hutra betzibur, which means if the tzibur is going, if the majority of the tzibur are going to be tameh, you could still bring it even though they're tameim. So ever since tumah was permitted, hutra betzibur, to do with the tzibur, so therefore the kohen will come and will atone for tumah. Yeah, it can't be something else. It's not notar or tameh. Exactly. Very good. So says the Gemara, matkif la Rabbi Zera, maybe it's avon yotzeh. Voila, you got it there. Yotzeh. You took it out of the azara. Yotzeh, right? Vayetze Yaakov, going out. Yeah, sheutar miklalo bebama. That there is going to be permitted bebama. What does that mean? We know that a bama is done on the outside, right? Which means that you also have such a thing. So says the Gemara, private barbecue. Well, it depends. If it's a bama ketana or bama gdola. Bama gdola is more of like a public one, but the bama ketana is a private one. Okay? Here he comes and he says, right? He says, Amar le'Abaye comes and he says, Amar Kra, the pasuk says, Vayal mitzchot tamid, that the tzitz is going to be on his forehead constantly. Leratzon lahem lifnei Hashem, to do leratzon before Hashem. So he says, Avon di lifnei Hashem in, Avon di yotze lo. It has to be an avera, which is in front of Hashem. Meaning the avon of yotze is not in front of Hashem. You took it out. It has to be something which is inside. So what is that? That's tum'ah. It cannot be yotze, because yotze is not lifnei Hashem. Lifnei Hashem is right by the Hechal. That's lifnei Hashem. So therefore, since it says leratzon lahem lifnei Hashem, chayav liot avon shel tum'ah velo avon shel yotze. Okay? So matkif la Rabbi Ilah, aim small. Maybe it's the left hand. You're right. You knocked off.
A coin cannot be a small if he's
No, but let's say he's a righty and he uses his left hand. So maybe there, it should be leratzon lahem lifnei Hashem. It's lifnei Hashem. You're right. It cannot be yotze. I knocked off yotze, but maybe it's small and it's not tuma, because I only said tuma because what else is there? Maybe it's small. So Elmaleh says, the pasuk says avon. Avon shayabo udchitiv. There was an avon and it was pushed off. Okay, la'puke biyom kippurim techshiro besmolu. He says it has to be that there was an avon that was pushed off. How did it push it off? It's because of tum'ah, and therefore what happens is that it's going to be pushed off, which means that the avon of tum'ah is pushed off, betzibur, right? Because obviously it's tum'ah utura betzibur, but the yachid, the tzitz is going to be meratzeh, and this comes to exclude small, because there is a time where small is mutar, and even lechatchila. When is that? Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur, the Kohen uses his left hand, even lechatchila. So therefore, since he's using the left hand, even lechatchila, you cannot tell me that it's referring to small, the small. Ravashi Amar, Ravashi comes and he says, Avona kodashim v'lo avona makdishin. He says it's avona kodashim. The tzitz noseh davka avon, which is talui in the korban itself, and not in the one that's bringing the korban. One more time. If it's small, who's the one that's taking care of that? The Kohen. The Kohen is the Magdish, not the Kodashim. He's the one that's bringing forth the concept. Yotzeh. What's the Yotzeh? The Yotzeh is the one that's taking it out. Who's that? That's the Kohen that's taking it out. It's not on the object. The Tum'ah is on the object. We weren't talking about that the Kohen was Tameh and he was bringing it. We're talking about that the food became, the comets became Tameh. So therefore, that's why it says Avona Kodashim. It's the Kodashim. It's not the Makdishim. It's not the Kohanim. It's not the hand, or it's not going to be the Yotzeh. It's going to be Davka, the product. Okay, and that's how we know that it's going to be obviously Tum'ah and not anything else. So Elmaleh Rav Sima bered Ravashi, Ravidi Ravashi, Ve'amri la Rav Sima bered Ravashi Ravashi, Ve'ema right Avon Balmum. Maybe it's Balmum, because if you're already talking about the product, a Balmum, an animal that has a blemish. That's on the animal. It's not on the. It's not that the kohen is the balmum, right? Shutar miklalo beofot. Now, but there's a difference though, because to do the nivela, one second, which maybe we will get to the nivela, but 1 second. He says, what's the difference between balmum? Remember, we need that it has to be pushed off in a certain sense. So we said that the tum'ah was hutra betzibur, and therefore it's pushed off in a certain sense. Here, balmum is only by animals. What about a bird? There's no problem. There's no balmum by a bird. So therefore, that's what he's saying over here. He says, why don't I say that it's going to be avon of the balmum? Because there is heter by an off. Te'amar mor, tamut v'zachrut bebe'ema, ve'en tamut v'zachrut be'ofot. So I found the perfect example. You're telling me it's tum'ah. I'm telling you one thing. Why did you have to say tum'ah? Because it says it has to be avon kodashim. It's in the product. It's not in the one that's bringing it. So fine. Balmum. Balmum is in the product. It's not the person bringing it. That it has to be that there was a permission in another place. Yeah, birds. And therefore the tzitz is going to be miratzeh, the balmum. So Elmaleh comes and he says, Alecha amarka, the pasuk says on you, lo yeratzeh ki lo leratzon yelachem. What does that mean? There's no ritzui la korban balmum, so it comes out that the avon of the yachid of the tzitz could be miratzeh only on the avon of tumav, which means because since by the ba'alei mumim it says mefurash lo yeratzeh, it tells you mefurash that it's not going to be meratzeh at all. The tzitz is meratzeh. If the Torah says lo yeratzeh, ratzeh means that it's a ratzon, that it's going to be wanted. Okay, but if the Torah tells you mefurash on a balmum lo yeratzeh, you cannot tell me afterwards that the tzitz is meratzeh. Doesn't make sense. If the Torah tells you mefurash, the words lo yeratzeh, so therefore the tzitz cannot be meratzeh. So it said mefurash the Torah lo yeratzeh, ma? Ken, shiye leratzon, sheze yechaper. So it says in the Torah lo yeratzeh. It's not that it's useless. The Torah said mefurash lo yeratzeh by pigul. It said it also by notar. Since it said it by notar and by pigul or lo yechashev and lo yeratzeh, so therefore the tzitz cannot be meratzeh otam. Because if not, why does the Torah say it's not yeratzeh? It's not true. It is meratzeh. You have a tzitz. Right? There's a Kohen Gadol. Tzitz, kamarnu. If the Torah tells you that, it's not meratzeh. So therefore we thought of avon of tum'ah. Ask the Gemara, maybe it's avon yotzeh. So the first answer that we gave avon yotzeh is that it cannot be. Why? Because it says lifnei Hashem. So lifnei Hashem, it has to be dafka tum'ah, which is lifnei Hashem, and not the avon of yotzeh, which is not lifnei Hashem. We asked, maybe it's small. So he said it's not true because small, there has to be some time that it's going to be a permitting. Here there's an avodah lechatchila with the small. So then says the Gemara, I've got another answer. You know why it's avon tum'ah and not anything else? Because it says avon kodashim. It's stuff on the product and not the bringer, the one that's bringing the product, which is the kohen, the guy that's serving it. So says the Gemara, so maybe it's going to be balmum. Why? Because the balmum, there is a permitter. What's the permitter? Birds. And it's in the product. It's not the person bringing it. So answers the Gemara, it said mefurash in the Torah, lo yiratzeh. If it says lo yiratzeh, it cannot be yirat. It cannot be that the tzitz is miratzeh if it tells you mefurash lo yiratzeh. When the Torah, so says the Gemara, we learned on the right that dam shenitma uzrako beshogeg. One of them is you have a dam of a korban that became tameh and then you threw it beshogeg, meaning the kohen came and he put it beshogeg hurtza. So again, one more time, the dam became tameh, and now you, the kohen, you come, you start sprinkling the blood. You did it b'shogeg. You didn't do it purposely. You didn't realize. And now what happens? It's hurtza. But if you did it b'mezid, it's lo hurtza. Meaning you came and you accidentally sprinkled it onto the mizbeach, it's going to be okay. What? No, one second. So he comes and he says, so it's going to be okay, right? Now says the Gemara, but one of these words, biyachid. Aval betzibur, whether it's shogeg or mezid, it's going to be hurtza. And to do with oved kochavim, ben shogeg, ben mezid, ben be'ones, ben beratzon, doesn't matter whether it's ones or ratzon, shogeg mezid, lo hurtza. The tzitz is not going to be melatzeh. Because since it says, v'ayal mitzchot abil ratzon lahem, lahem is only for Bnei Yisrael, it's not for the non-Jews. So therefore, the first case is exactly like what you said, the tzitz is going to be menatzeh, right, when it's going to be only b'shogeg. Okay, so here, by the way, you should know there's a machloket, right, on Amud Bet. We're going to speak about it. What does it mean b'shogeg? Does it mean that the kohen sprinkled it b'shogeg, or it became tameh b'shogeg? Okay, that means that's the question. Meaning that, that means do we say that the dam became tameh b'shogeg, or the kohen sprinkled the dam tameh b'shogeg? I explained it the second way, that it became tameh, and then the kohen accidentally came and he sprinkled it. He didn't realize. That's how I explained it. But really, the Gemara is going to say that there's two different opinions. Okay, so says Kafei Amud Bet 25b. Urmini, we have a contradiction. Alma hatzitz miratzeh. We have a braita. The braita says mufurash. What is the tzitz miratzeh? So he says, al adam, ve'al basar, ve'al chelev, shenitma. When you have dam, chelev, or basar, that became tameh, ben b'shogeg mezid, ben me'ones v'ratzon, whether it's shogeg mezid, ones ratzon, be'yochid, be'tzibur. So here it's mirta mefurash, that the tzitz is going to be miratzeh, even a korban yachid, be'mezid. Be'tzibur pashut, it's going to be miratzeh, but korban yachid, even be'mezid. So Amar of Yosef says of Yosef, lakash asked on a question. How Rabbi Yosef? Barabanan. It all depends if it's Rabbi Yosef or Rabbanan. The Tanya was learned on a Braita. En tormim min hatameh la tahor. You're not allowed to be mafrish lechatchila truma from perot meim on perot teorim. Ve'im taram, but if you did do it, right? Bishogeg, if it was going to be bishogeg, it's going to be okay. Trumato truma. Bemezid, if it's going to be mezid, en trumato truma. That is the first shita. Okay. Now Rabbi Yosef says ben bishogeg ben mezid trumato truma. So you come here and you see that Chachamim come and they made a knas, that if you're doing something b'mezid, they give you a knas. Rabbi Yosef did not give you the knas. So according to this, it comes out that that you just told me that if it's going to be b'mezid, is it going to be meratzeh or not, is a machloket Chachamim, Rabbi Yosef. According to Chachamim, they make a knas. You did it b'mezid, it's not meratzeh. Even though technically it should have. But we make a knas, we give you a penalty, we give you a fine. Okay? But the other one, no. So Emar the Shamaleh Rabbi Yosef de la Kanis. He comes and he says, I'm going to say to Rabbi Yosef that it's not going to be a knas. So he says, however, though, if you're going to come, you're going to tell me that the tzitz is going to be minatzeh on tum'ah, on those korbanot, right? Are you going to tell me that it is going to be, right, on achilot even? Meaning like this. He's saying, how do we ever see Rabbi Yosef that he's not going to make a knas, that it's going to be right on an action? He says the tzitz miratzeh achilot, that you're allowed to eat it. I could understand that the tzitz is going to be miratzeh, for example, on sprinklings, on this. That's one thing, but that you're allowed to eat it afterwards also as well. Vatanya we learned in a braita. Rabbi Eliezer omer tzitz miratzeh ala achilot. Rabbi Yosef says, "And when tzitz miratzeh ala achilot," meaning, right? Then he's basically you can't. It's not going to be miratzeh, right? You're not allowed to eat it, right? You're allowed to sprinkle. If you did sprinkle the blood, okay, fine. So I'm going to say miratzeh. But to come in now to eat the rest of the korban and everything, how does that work?
Well, it's tameh, right?
Yeah.
It's okay with the tzitz, it's okay with the zira.
No, but that's what we're asking. We're asking that maybe you could only tell me that if you already sprinkled the blood, so fine. So the tzitz is minatzeh. But now to come and tell you you're allowed to eat this korban lechatchila, that's already going much further. You understand?
So what is the tzitz for?
No, the tzitz is to tell you that if you sprinkle the blood is going to be okay.
But it's
Yes, exactly. You stop there.
But it's a dam chelev and
Very good. So let's see. So says the Gemara Epuch, you have to switch it around. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, en atzitz minatzeh achilot, and Rabbi Yosef says that it is minatzeh achilot. Okay, so it comes out that the brighter that before said to do with the basar, that was obviously going according to Rabbi Yosef. Okay, so matkif la Rav Sheshat. Rav Sheshat comes and he asks the following question: Umi matzit afchale? Can you actually turn it around? Matari, we learned on the brighter. Yechol basar shenitma lifnei zrikat tamim yu chayavim alav mishum tuma. I would have thought to say that if you've got basar that was tameh before the zrikat damim, so you're going to be chayavim alav mishum tuma. Talmud Lomar comes teach you kol tahor yochal basar v'anefesh shtoch basar mizevach hashanim shel Hashem v'tumato alav nichreta. What does that mean? Hanitar leteorin chayavim alav mishum tuma. She'eno nitar right leteorin en chayavim mishum tuma. Which means that this. Anytime that you're going to tell me that it's going to be nitar, right? Nitar, mutar, right? Right? So he said nitar leteorin, you're going to be chayav mishum karet, right? Because of achila betuma. But if it's not going to be nitar, if it's not going to be given over like this, so what's going on over here exactly? Since the basar of the kochim before the zrika is not permitted, are you allowed to eat a korban before the blood was sprinkled? No. So therefore, he says you're never going to be chayavim alav karet if you ate it betuma.
Okay.
You're only going to be chayav karet if you ate betumah something that right now was mutar to eat. If it's not mutar to eat, I didn't sprinkle the blood, you're not chayav karet. One more time. What is the permitter? You remember we kept on speaking about a menahot and also zvachim. What is a permitter? A permitter means when I sprinkle the blood, now I could have the meat of the korban.
Okay.
When I take off the komets, now I could eat the shiraim, the leftovers of the mincha. It's called a permitter. Permitter means that there are certain actions that once I do it, now I'm allowed. Well, the matir, the permitter. I said in English. The English is called the permitter. He's correct. It's called the matir. The matir. You remember, kol matir. We're talking about always the matir. So here, what happens is, when is it allowed to eat the basar of the korban? Only after the sprinkling. So what happens right now if it became tameh? The animal became tameh. And what happens is, before the sprinkling, I come and I eat the animal. I'm not chayav karet. Usually, when a person eats the animal, when it's tameh, there's karet, right? Tumah in the Bet HaMikdash is karet. Whether it's because he came in or he ate something tameh, it's karet. Here, the fact that the permitter was not permitting it yet, so therefore there's no karet. The karet is only after the permitter came and permitted the meat, and now you have a technical issue. It's tameh.
So but you said that you have to sprinkle and then eat.
Exactly.
So
here he ate and he ate. So therefore there's no karet. There's no karet. Why? Because the karet only applies when it's permitted to eat. You understand? Meaning the karet, that's the pasuk. The pasuk says one more time. Kol tahor yochal basar. Okay, it says anybody that's pure is going to eat the basar. Ve'anefesh asher tochal basar mizvah shel Hashem ve'tumato alav ve'nichreta. So he says, when it says v'nichreta, it says hanitar leteorin chayavim alav, and not she'eno nitar leteorin. That means it has to be something which is already tahor. Kol tahor bevetecha yochal. It has to be that it's tahor. If it still wasn't tahor, so you didn't eat anything yet. You didn't do anything.
Can we see this also if we can take it down from the Mizbeah? Are we allowed, if we found that it's tameh, and do we take it down or not?
So says the Gemara, or maybe, Ela nechal leteorin chayavim alav mishum tum'ah, right? Ve'eno nechal leteorin en chayavim alav mishum tum'ah, right? Which means, maybe be'emet, even the achila betum'ah is going to be, even though it's nitar leteorin, and you're not going to be chayavim karet mishum tum'ah. ובהוציא אני את הלן ואת היוצא שאין הנאכלים טהורים, תלמוד לומר, השאלה שם ריבה. Which means that this, maybe באמת, it's not coming to exclude basar kodshim in such a fashion. Maybe it's only coming to exclude lina and yotze. Remember, lina is the leftovers, or yotze that you took it outside of the Bet HaMikdash, that they're not going to be eaten even for tehorim. So therefore, when it says asher la Hashem, it's coming to include the karet of a tameh, which is eating kodesh, that of the basar, right, that right now cannot be eaten of the teorim, which means, right, since it was, right, sprinkled, meaning I came and I sprinkled the blood. Now it's mutar for me to eat it. And now there's linadan. Linadan means leftovers, right? Avara laila. Or they took it out of the Bet HaMikdash. So that's called yotzeh. This case, it was permitted for the tahor people to eat it, correct? Beforehand, it was permitted. Why? Because they sprinkled the blood, right? They sprinkled the blood. It was permitted. But now it became disqualified. When did it become disqualified now? Because you took it out of the Bet HaMikdash or because it Avar Laila. It was notar. So in this case, maybe only in this case is there going to be a chiyuv of karet, right? Because again, it was a permitter. So says the Gemara, so now 1 second. If I'm going to say this, so I'm going to be marbe everything then. Yachol shani marbe ta pigul veta notar. So I'm going to include pigul and the notar, right? That what? That there's going to be chayev karet when you eat them tameh. So says the Gemara, notarot hainulan. Notar is the same thing as lan. What is lan? Lina is notar, selam misho, זה בדיוק אותו דבר. אלא אף הפיקולין is also like notar. תמול לומר, מזבח השלמים מאתץ פיגול. Meaning that pigul is a separate halacha, that it's got a separate karet, and you're not going to be chayav karet because of, meaning if you're already chayav karet because of pigul, you're not chayav another karet because of this, right? Because of eating this betum'ah. So says the Gemara, Umara ital rabot et elu velotzi et elu. Why am I adding in lan and yotzeh, and I'm excluding פיגול, למה? כאילו למה החלטת שפיגול לא, אבל לן ויוצא, לינה ויוצא, שזה נותר ויוצא, כן, יש כרת. Why? So he says, yeah, so he says like this, אחר שריבה כתוב ומיית, אמרת מרבה אני את אלו שהייתה להן שעת הכושר, ומוציא אני את אלו שלא הייתה להן שעת הכושר. Which means like this, since the pasuk is already coming and telling you, right, and he's telling you, right, in what's written in the katuv, ribuy u'miyut, we already said, marbe ani et elu שהייתה להן שעת הכושר, they did have שעת הכושר, which means it was kosher from the beginning, right, even until the time of the lina and the yitziyah. And I'm going to take out pigul, that it never had shata kosher. You remember shata kosher means it had a time where it was kasher to begin with. Shat ha-kosher, she'ah, like a time that it was kasher, it was fitting, right? Now, by lina and yotzeh, it was kasher. The everything, hayara shata kosher, akol haya kasher. Matai ze niya pasul? Lina, avarta et halayla, or hotzeta et ze bachutz, you took it outside. The pigul from the beginning was not kasher. Right? So therefore, since it was not shata kosher, that's why I'm going to exclude the pigul and I'm going to include the lina and the yotzeh. Okay? Now he comes and he says, V'im toma, now if you're going to tell me, basar shenitma, lifnei zrikat damim v'achalo, la'achar zrikat damim, mipnei ma chayvim alav, mishum tum'ah. Right? He says, so if you're going to tell me now, right, why are you going to be chayav mishum tum'ah? Because the tzitz is going to be miratzeh. So he says, nitma in, dafka nitma yes. So he says, yotze lo, dafka nitma, but not yotze. So man shamale, who's the one that man en zrika moelet li yotze? So Eliezer, right? V'ktani miratzeh al tzitz al achilot. So it comes out that Eliezer is the one that holds that the tzitz is miratzeh al achilot. So this is a stira to the fact that you wanted to switch the shitot of Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Eliezer, that Rabbi Yosef was the one that says that tzitz is miratzeh al achilot. Rabbi Eliezer says no, it should be the exact opposite. So says the Gemara, Ela marav chasta la kashya. It's not a question. Rabbi Eliezer v'Rabbanan. It's not Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Eliezer. It's Rabbi Eliezer v'Rabbanan. Right? Why? He says Rabbi Eliezer is the one that says that the tzitz is miratzeh al achilot, and the Rabbanan say that it's not. Okay, there's going to be a difference between maaseh and mezid. So Ema de Shamaleh Rabbi Eliezer miratzeh tzitz al achilot de lo kanis mishamaleh. Okay, fine. You're allowed to eat it, but you don't make a knas. Wherever you say that, meaning. I could say like what the doctor wanted to say before. Listen, if I already permit, I'm permitting out the sof. But maybe I'm only permitting out a sof if you did it b'shogeg, not b'mezid. B'mezid, maybe I give you a knas. I give you a penalty. Many times b'mezid, if you did it purposely, that you did this.
You did what? Eat something? That
No. That you came in, that you brought it b'mezid or whatever it is, that you sprinkled it b'mezid. You know the concept of b'mezid, right? Which we're going to speak about the b'mezid. What is the b'mezid now? That was.
The tzitz was gonna.
So then that's why. That's exactly. No, because that's exactly what you're doing. It's like you're going to eat the pig the night before Kippur. You're going to say, don't worry about it. I've got Kippur tomorrow.
Like the milk beshishim.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, pour a little bit of milk and make sure that it's that is batel b'shishim. Are you allowed to do that? Obviously not.
Cooling.
Yeah. So says the Gemara, in yes. Ki echad shaman le Rabbi Yosef, shaman le Rabbi Eliezer. We did hear this in Rabbi Eliezer. The time Rabbi Eliezer Omer ben b'shogeg mezid, trumato truma. Whether it was shogeg or mezid, if you took off the truma from truma temeah to truma teorah, it's going to be a good truma.
this-
Except we did see it.
Makes it okay if the process was
B'shogeg. Well, there's a machloket, but we're going to see yes. Okay? Yeah, fine. So Amar the shaman, we're not in the maskana yet. 1 minute. Amar the shaman le Rabbi Eliezer, right? The truma the kila. Maybe it's only by truma, but by kodshim, it's more chamur. Meaning like this. What's more chamur? Kodshim or truma? Kodshim. Remember, truma could become a shlishi, but a kodshim could become a revi'i. Meaning kodshim is the korbanot. The korbanot was always more mahmid than truma. Truma, right, was going to be for the kohanim, right? But usually it's the Israel that gets the truma and he gives it to the kohen. But the kodshim is from the korbanot. It's a completely different ballgame. You understand? So says Gemara, if so, Haman Tarmiyah. So who's the one that's going to be? Who's going to throw it? According to who are we going like that? So Ravina comes and he says, Tumato ben b'shogeg b'mezid hurtza zrikato b'shogeg hurtza b'mezid lo hurtza. Meaning like this. Comes the Ravina and he says, to do the tumah of the korban, whether it was shogeg or mezid, if it became meaning, how did it become tameh? How did it become tameh? Whether it's shogeg or mezid, it's going to be okay through the tzitz. But the sprinkling of the blood could only be done b'shogeg. Meaning, what he's doing right now is he's making a two dinim. He's saying like this: to do with the korban becoming tameh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you made it tameh b'shogeg, whether you made it tameh b'mezid, oto davar. But the sprinkling of the blood is only going to be tzitz menatzeh if it was done b'shogeg. If it was done b'mezid lo. That's shitat Ravina. Okay?
One more time. Sorry.
That only in the way that it became tameh, it doesn't matter whether it's going to be shogeg or mezid. Atzitz miratzeh. How did it become tameh? But when you're sprinkling the blood, rak b'shogeg. It's two different halachot. The question number one, how did it become tameh? Now that it's tameh, can I sprinkle the blood? So how did it become tameh? I don't care whether it was shogeg or mezid. Tzitz miratzeh. That's fine.
Okay.
But when you're sprinkling the blood, it's only good if you did it b'shogeg. If you b'mezid came and sprinkled the blood, it doesn't help. That is shitat Ravina. Rav Shila says no. Zrikato doesn't matter whether it's shogeg or mezid, but hurtza, it's going to be okay. Tumato is shogeg hurtza, b'mezid hurtza. You remember I just told you beforehand, right, that there was going to be a machloket on Amud Bet. This is a machloket, meaning like this. There's two concepts here. The korban becomes tameh. That's step one. And then you're coming and you're sprinkling the korban. That's step two.
But do you know that it was tameh?
1 second. So, according to Shitat Ravina, how did it become tameh? Says Ravina, I don't care. Whether it's shogeg, whether it's mezid, it's hurtza. But I'm not allowed to sprinkle. Now, what happens if you accidentally came and sprinkled it?
So they brought it to me.
They brought it to you and you accidentally came and you
You
sprinkled
didn't
it.
know it wasn't-
You didn't know that it was tameh and you sprinkled it. That's called shogeg.
So
So what happens? So therefore it's going to be okay. What happens if b'chavana you sprinkle it? It's not okay. That's Shitat Ravina. Rav Shila comes and he says the exact opposite. What is the exact opposite? To do with the sprinkling, I don't care whether it's shogeg or mezid, hurtza. It's going to be okay. How did it become tameh? It depends. If you made it tameh b'mezid, it doesn't help. But if you made it tameh b'shogeg, so then it's okay. Which one?
That's the same thing of Ravina.
No. The Ravina was, right? Ravina was, I don't care how it became tameh. I don't care how it became tameh. All I care about is the zrika. Says Rav Shila, I don't care about the zrika. All I care about is how does it become tameh.
Because he
The exact opposite. The exact opposite.
But the second Rav basically kosherizes it.
The zrika. He's kosherizing the zrika.
No, he's actually kosherizing the animal before he gets to the zrika.
No, because he says if you did it b'mezid, nothing else. If you made it tameh b'mezid, nothing else. That's it. It's only the zrika it always helps because it's already tameh. So once it's already tameh, that's it. Even if you did it b'mezid, it's okay according to Rav Shila.
Okay, go again on the two sheets.
One more time. Shitat Ravina and Rav Shila,
Yes.
right? And then we just say the last part and then we're done. Right?
It says that-
One more time. According to Ravina, he comes and he says, I don't care how does it become tameh. Meaning whether b'shogeg or whether b'mezid, hurtza. But all I care about is the zrika. If you did the zrika b'mezid, it doesn't help.
Meaning, if you knew that
If you knew that the animal is tameh and then you came and you sprinkle it, it does not help. That does not help. But if you did it b'shogeg, zabeseder. It's okay. Comes Rav Shila and he says the exact opposite. He says the sprinkling of it, I don't care whether you did it b'shogeg b'mezid, you sprinkled it. It's always going to be okay. What do I care about? How did it become tameh? Meaning, I'm looking at the first product. How did it become tameh? If it was b'shogeg, so then that's fine. But if it was b'mezid, that doesn't help. You b'mezid came and you made an animal tameh, and now you're going to come and you're going to sprinkle it? If it was already done b'shogeg, so I don't care about the sprinkling, but this is actually more apropos to what the doctor said before. If kilu became tameh b'shogeg, so now I permit it. Permit it what? Adasof. What is adasof until the end? Even if you did it b'shogeg or b'mezid, doesn't matter. The sprinkling, I don't care. But the question is, how did it become tameh? So Rav Shila looks about how did it become tameh. Ravina comes and he says, I don't care about become tameh. I care about the sprinkling.
How did you make it tameh? By taking it out? By doing all these?
A person that's tameh came and he touched it, or you made it tameh purposely.
So a person didn't know that he was tameh and he touched it. That makes it.
Yeah, but that's shogeg.
Shogeg, yeah.
That's shogeg.
Okay, so that would have been permissible according to the second sheet.
Yes. Rav Shila diktani nitma b'meshogeg mezid. He says 1 second, but according to Rav Shila,
the second case, the Kohen knows that it's tameh. He just doesn't know whether it was mezid or
we have to find out. We have to find out if it's shogeg or mezid.
In the first case, he knows that it's tameh and he sprinkles it. It doesn't go.
Doesn't go.
The second way, he knows that it's tameh, but he knows that it was tameh in a certain way, so he
exactly
continues it.
That's what it will do.
Agree. It becomes tameh b'shogeg, and the sprinkling of the blood was done b'shogeg.
Yes, exactly. According to everybody.
Yeah.
According to everybody. Shogeg, according to everybody. Yeah. Okay.
That's a chart.
Yeah. And they would both agree the opposite way.
Yeah.
If it was nitma b'mezid and sprinkled b'mezid.
Right. You see, that's a chart.
You understand? That's the chart, doctor. You've got both of them. And what is the machloket? Shogeg mezid, mezid shogeg. That's the machloket between them.
It's the chart.
Yeah. So he says, Ulav Shila diktani shenitma b'meshogeg b'mezid. So he says the Braita is talking about whether it's going to be the tum'ah, whether it's happening shogeg mezid. So he says, Achi kamar nitma b'shogeg v'zarka b'meshogeg b'mezid. He says it became tameh b'shogeg, and it was only done the zrika b'meshogeg b'mezid. Right? Tashima. We're just going to get to the Mishnah. Look on the next page. Kavav Amud Aleph. Right? It's three lines. Right? 4 lines. He says Tashima dam shenitma utzrako b'shogeg, dam that became tameh, and you sprinkled it b'shogeg hurtza b'mezid lo hurtza. So that's mashma like what? Like Ravina. That's like Ravina. One more time. It became tameh. We didn't care about how it became tameh. What do we care about? No, this is the first opinion. This is Ravina. Right?
It became tameh.
It became tameh, but we didn't speak about how it became tameh. All we spoke about was how did you sprinkle it. So that's the first opinion. So answers the Gemara. No. Hachi kamar. Dam shenitma zoko ben b'shogeg b'mezid. Nitma b'shogeg urza b'mezid urza. No, he just changed the language to go like him. That it wasn't that about the sprinkling. It had to do with how did it become tameh. Whether it became tameh b'shogeg b'mezid. So therefore that was like Rav Shila. No. So basically, I wanted to bring a proof, like the first opinion. We deferred it. We said no. It could also be like the second opinion. Like it all depends on how with the language. Okay, and then we get to the Mishnah. So we don't actually have an answer. How do we paskin, right? Whether it's like the first one or the second one. Fine.